That's my position. That does not make me an anti-Semite. And shame on you for suggesting otherwise. And I mean that. And that's low, and you know it's low. So why don't you just answer my questions
I'll answer
in a
any
straightforward,
question
rational
you'd like.
way?
Oh, boy.
You have the IQ to do it.
So, shame on you is cute, by the way, Tucker. Growing up in Sunday school, I was taught from the Bible, those who bless Israel will be blessed, and those who curse Israel will be cursed. That's in the Bible. As a Christian, I believe that.
Where is that?
I can find it to you. I don't have the scripture off the tip of my... You pull out the phone and use the...
It's in Genesis, but... So you're quoting a...
Damn, dude, Tucker.
A Bible phrase. You don't have context for it, and you don't
Tucker's a fucking killer, bro.
know where in the Bible it is, but that's like your theology? I'm confused.
We also have a Ted Cruz and Tucker Carlson podcast that they did together. There was one clip that was making the rounds. It's pretty unbelievable, this clip, you guys.
How many people live in Iran, by the way?
I don't know the population.
At all?
No, I don't know the population.
You don't know the population of the country you seek to topple?
How many people live in Iran?
92 million.
Okay. Yeah,
How could you not know that?
I don't sit around memorizing population tables.
This is unbelievable. Okay, this is unbelievable. I knew who the population of what the population of Iran was. I knew. It was literally the first thing I looked up when all this chatter started about potential war with Iran. I was like, okay, what's the first question I need answered right now? What's the population? This guy is he's first of all, he's a sitting United States senator. I kept seeing these takes narrow. I just don't agree with you. Some people, so I tweeted about it, and then some people replied with like, somebody said, do you know the population of Florida? ? Do you therefore know nothing about Florida? I think the population of Florida is around 20 to 25 million, if I had to guess. First of all, 23.4 million, suck my dick. But second of all, this is not the point. He is the chair of the Foreign Relations Committee, you guys. This is a sitting United States senator who is the chair of the Foreign Relations Committee. Point to Iran on a map right now. Shit. Let's go. You want to go? Let's do this. Let's fucking go. Let's do this. Saudi Arabia is here. United Arab Emirates is... One of these is like, fuck. I think this is Iraq. This is Kuwait. This is Bahrain. Is this it right here? I think I think maybe it's definitely a coastal. Fuck. I think it's this one. Fuck. I was wrong. I knew it was that one. Yemen is Saudi Arabia. This is Oman. This is Yemen. Iraq is here. Oman is here. Syria is there. Iran is there. Jordan is there. Israel is there. Egypt is there. Qatar is there. Turkey is here. Kuwait is here. Bahrain is there. Lebanon is there. I was going to finish that, by the way. So I got all, I suck my dick. Okay. But I am not a sitting United States senator who chairs the Foreign Relations Committee, guys. Like, give me a break. People, I tweeted about it and somebody was like, somebody said, I didn't need to know the population and ethnic makeup of the South during the Civil War to know that the Confederates needed to be crushed. Wikipedia gotcha looks good on camera, but if you think about it more than 10 seconds, it's pretty petty and dumb. Like, this is not, guys, we are not talking about like having an argument with someone on Twitter, you know, and looking smart. We're doing like a Twitch debate and getting gotcha'd. This is the chair of the Foreign Relations Committee. It's astounding that he did not even know enough about the country of Iran to ballpark. He's not chair for FYI, but he's okay, right. He sits on that committee. It's astounding that he wasn't even able to ballpark it.
So what is it costing to support the bombing campaign to protect Israel right now from Iran?
So I don't know right now, but I'll tell you this. Let's go back to the touchstone on foreign policy, American interest. Our support, our military support for Israel is massively in America's national security
But what
interest,
does it
and
cost?
it benefits us enormously.
Well, before we can make independent judgments about whether or not that's true, and I'm certainly open to it, I think we need to know what it costs. So what's the annual cost of defending Israel? Do you know?
$3 billion a year.
No, that's the aid. But I mean, the cost of the weapons, for example, the cost of U.S. personnel there, the cost of moving ships to the region, which we're doing right now, the cost of moving tankers to the region, all of that. Do we know what the cost is?
So look, the last week, I don't know. And there's
I mean, several $1 billion, right?
some lag when the administration, under the Constitution, the commander-in-chief has control of the armed forces. And so President Trump has made some decisions that we'll know the cost over time, but I don't know the last week. I don't have visibility on that. The annual cost is $3 billion. It's a 10-year memorandum of understanding, and that's the principal driver of the cost. But let me make a point. We get massive benefits from Israel. Israel shares the Mossad is one of the best intelligence sources on the planet. The enemies of Israel, the people who hate Israel, they all hate us. It's almost a perfect overlap. And so if we tried to recreate, if we're just trying to defend America, we tried to recreate the national security benefits of our alliance with Israel, it would cost, I don't know, $30 billion, $300 billion.
So can you elaborate? And again, I'm going into this as someone who's always liked Israel and still does. But I also think at this point, given where we are, it's fair to ask rational questions about what the benefits are.
Good.
So does Mossad share all of its intelligence with us?
Oh, probably not, but they share a lot.
Really?
We don't share all of our intelligence with them, but we share a lot. It's a close alliance.
Do they spy domestically in the United States?
Oh, they probably do, and we do as well. And friends and allies spy on each other. And I assume all of our allies spy on us.
And that's okay with you?
You know what? One of the things about being a conservative.
I mean, I'm kind of with Ted Cruz on this one, where it's like, this is just a reality of geopolitics. I don't know how you avoid it, right? Like, I don't know, like, what country would do a unilateral ceasefire? Like, you know what? We're just not going to spy. You know, like, intelligence services are, they're just a reality of modern nation states. And
is that you're not naive. And
it is what it is.
You don't think humans are all. Part of the reason socialism doesn't work is the mantra from each according to his abilities to each according to his needs doesn't work.
Technically, that was communism. Not socialism?
As a conservative, I assume people act in their rational self-interest.
So it's conservative to pay people to spy on you?
It's conservative to recognize that human beings act in their own self-interest, and every one of our friends spies on us. And I'm not...
Do you like it? That's my question. I'm not asking whether they have motive to do it. Of course they do. I understand that. And by the way, I'm not mad at them. But you're an American lawmaker, so I just want to know, hold on, I want to know your attitude. Yeah. You said that your guiding principle, in fact, the only principle, the only criterion.
I said guiding, the overwhelming, I wouldn't say only.
Is it in America's interest? Is it in America's interest for Israel to spy on us, including on the president?
It is in America's interest to be closely allied with Israel because we get huge benefits for it. And you want to see the clearest...
But I just want to stop on the spying for a second. That it takes place, as you know, and including on the president of the United States and several presidents. And I just want to know if that's okay and why is it okay? Wouldn't an American lawmaker say to a client state, you're not allowed to spy on us? I'm sorry. I know why you want to. I'm not mad at you, but you're not allowed to.
Sure.
And I don't care for it. I don't want to be spied on by you. It's kind of weird not to say that, but you don't seem able to say that.
Sure, I would say don't spy on us. They're going to anyway. And by the way, the Brits are, the Canadians are. Like, I don't think...
Well, I'm not for that at all. Okay. I think it's disgusting. But we don't actually pay their... You know, we're not their most meaningful sponsor. We're not sort of paying.
Therefore, America should just be completely isolationist. This is kind of stretch of logic, I guess.
For the operations of the British government.
So I got to say, and this is, it's weird. We're talking about isolationists, the obsession with Israel. Why is Israel...
Oh, I don't think I'm obsessed with Israel.
Okay, but I think a lot of people are. And like the question, Israel spies on us. Well, so does every other country. Why are you mad at Israel?
I guess, no. I'm hardly the one who's... I've never taken money from the Israel lobby. Have you?
Taken money from the Israel...
From AIPAC.
He took money from Qatar. It was just revealed in FARA documents that Qatar paid him money to facilitate some interview, where they agreed on like talking points. I think it had to do with Russia too. Like, what an insanely hypocritical thing! Like, he's taking foreign money. This guy's taking foreign money, and he's complaining about AIPAC. I mean, I don't love AIPAC, to be honest with you, but
So AIPAC raises a lot of money for me, but it's actually a misnomer because the people who raise money are individuals. Right. So it's not the PAC itself, but they're individual members who believe in the American-Israeli friendship and relationship.
Is AIPAC a foreign lobby?
No, it's an American lobby. It's the AIPAC stands for the America-Israeli Political Action Committee.
What does it lobby for?
So, to be honest, not a whole lot effectively. Listen, I came into Congress 13 years ago with the stated intention of being...
I don't know. I think AIPAC is a bit of a boogeyman. There's like so many other PACs that raise and spend so much more money.
Being the leading defender of Israel in the United States Senate.
Right.
And I've worked every day to do that. AIPAC, a lot of times... AIPAC, I wish were much more effective. Like, there are folks online who are in the fever swamp of terrified of AIPAC, and AIPAC...
I'm not terrified of AIPAC at all. You're the one who seems a little uncomfortable when I'm asking.
No, not uncomfortable at all.
I'm just asking what AIPAC does. My understanding, having known a lot of people who work at AIPAC, is that it lobbies on behalf of the Israeli government.
Wrong.
Oh, okay.
America has thousands of colleges and universities, and a lot of them go to Tucker.
Okay.
Tucker for Hill.
When was the last time AIPAC took a position that deviated from Prime Minister Netanyahu?
All the time.
Name one.
Okay. Let me go back and give a little history. If you want to do a deep dive on AIPAC,
I don't. I want to do a shallow dive that gets.
No.
I want to get to the core question. AIPAC is lobbying for a foreign government, and I don't. It's not. It's lobbying for the United States.
It is lobbying for a strong U.S.-Israeli relationship.
Okay. So it's not has nothing to do with the foreign government.
It wants America and Israel to be closely allied.
Okay, but it's lobbying on behalf of the interests of another country.
So that's not true at all. And if
it's not true.
Okay, this seems a bit contradictory.
No.
How much contact do you think AIPAC leaders have with the government of Israel?
No idea. I imagine some. I think the government of Israel is often frustrated with AIPAC because AIPAC's not nearly strong enough.
Do you think there's any coordination between the government of Israel and AIPAC?
Do they talk? Sure. If you're lobbying for more U.S.-Mexico trade, would you talk to people in the U.S. and Mexico and the government? Sure. Like if...
So I'm not mad about that. There are a million countries that lobby Washington. I like a lot of those countries, including Israel.
But AIPAC are Americans.
He gets paid directly by a lot of these countries. So.
Hold on. There are tons of Americans who lobby on behalf of foreign governments. I know them. I'm related to some of them. I know how it works.
He gets paid by some of them. He's not saying that, but...
I'm here. So my question...
we know that. There's public disclosure. We know that...
It's not... Is it outrageous that foreign governments lobby the United States? They all do, okay? Including Israel. My only question is, why don't we admit that is what's happening? You're denying it, but it's true.
Yeah,
and
why
aren't they registered as a foreign lobby?
Because they're not.
They're not a foreign lobby.
No, they're not. And this is that there's a fever swamp. Look,
it's not a fever swamp. These are very reasonable questions, and you've accused me of being obsessed with Israel, which I'm not.
I actually haven't. I've said
isolationist. And being feverish about it, which I'm not at all. I find it's a very tender spot when you ask it, and I don't know why.
So, Tucker, all right, let's go back. I was first elected to the Senate in 2012. I came in Obama's second term. And I actually saw AIPAC be badly wounded in a way they never came back from. And the second term is when Obama did the Iran nuclear deal. And the Iran nuclear deal, I think, was catastrophic. And AIPAC went all in lobbying against it.
Yeah.
And they failed. And I was the leading opponent of the Iran nuclear deal.
Oh, I know. They definitely failed, yes.
They failed. And what happened, the Obama White House told every Democrat, when I got here, there used to be real bipartisan support for Israel. That has largely disappeared. And it's the Obama nuclear deal that caused it, because the Obama White House told every Democrat, pick. You either stand with Israel or you're a Democrat and you stand with the Obama White House. And almost every single Democrat member of Congress said, I'm a Democrat first, to hell with Israel. And then I watched as AIPAC, every one of those Democrats got reelected and AIPAC did nothing about it. And it dramatically reduced AIPAC's influence.
I agree. I watched it happen.
And by the way, I told AIPAC, I said, look, the analogy, if the NRA was supporting a bunch of politicians and cared about the Second Amendment, and you had politicians that vote to confiscate people's guns, and the NRA turned around and raised money for the people who voted to confiscate guns, you know what? No one would ever care what they said again.
So you're making the case that AIPAC is not as powerful as people say it is, and I completely agree with you. I've watched that, and I'm not making the case that AIPAC is all powerful and they're running everything and putting fluoride in the water. I'm not making that case at all, because that's not true. I'm only trying to get to the question of what AIPAC is, and I don't think you're being straightforward about it. AIPAC is lobbying on behalf of the interests of a foreign country, and they're not registered. And you're saying, no, that's not true. You're saying that they don't coordinate with the Israeli government.
Of course, I coordinate. Do they talk with them? I don't know what they do. I can
But
tell
why
you,
don't you care? Isn't it meaningful if a foreign government...
Hey, I talk with Israel all the time. I talk with foreign countries all the time.
But the law is, and a lot of people have been prosecuted under this law, that if you are lobbying on behalf of foreign government, you must register. That's it. It's really simple. And I don't know why, if I'm working for Malaysia or Qatar or Belgium, and I'm working on behalf of its government's interests through a group of Americans who are representing the friendship between those two nations, I have to register under the Foreign Agent Registration Act. And if I don't, I can go to jail. And people have gone to jail, including people I know. So I don't understand why we don't just be honest and say they're lobbying on behalf of a foreign government. They're coordinating with the government. You know that that's true.
That is not only not true, that is false.
They're not coordinating with the Israeli government?
Do you know how AIPAC raises money?
What?
For elected officials, like what they do, like what the actual mechanics is?
I get it. I mean, they go to people who are sympathetic to Israel and raise money and then send it to candidates who agree with them.
So what they'll do is, so in my last election, AIPAC endorsed me. And they'll host a fundraiser. And they'll host a fundraiser in Dallas or Houston or Atlanta or New York or LA. And they'll do a fundraiser, and they'll get someone who will host it, and it's usually a business owner, lawyer, doctor, someone who hosts it. And you'll get typically at an AIPAC fundraiser 30, 40, 50, maybe 100 people who live in that city,
right?
Who care about a strong U.S.-Israel relationship. Yeah. And if they have, 50 people, each of them writes $1,000 check, and you raise $50,000.
Yeah, I've been to an AIPAC fundraiser. Okay. I know what it looks like.
But that is not, and by the way, there's no representative of the Israeli government there. You have, when you're in Dallas, you're meeting with...
This is such a false and silly conversation. I know all this. The question is are AIPAC's goals shaped by the goals of the Israeli government to any extent?
Okay, that's a really simple question. From lobbying on behalf of.
It's a simple question. Are AIPAC's goals shaped by the goals of the Israeli government? And I'm just going to ask you that question straightforwardly. And if you say no, I think we both know that's not true.
Hey, are they shaped by?
Are they coordinating with the Israeli government?
Are they talking with them? Yes. Is Israel directing them? You want to talk about FARA? The law on lobbying on behalf of someone.
Yeah.
It is, I hire you and you lobby on behalf of me. I direct you. Does Israel direct AIPAC? No, they're not lobbying on behalf of them. Do they care about them? Yes, but...
Do you think that, it's just interesting because what you're now describing in a very defensive way, I will say, is foreign influence over our politics.
No.
And you began, and it's so transparently obvious to everybody, I don't know why you would be embarrassed of it. You've said that you are sincerely for Israel. I believe you. I don't think you have some weird agenda. You seem to be sincere.
By the way, Tucker, it's a very weird thing. The obsession...
New content, nuke tomorrow? I saw that, yeah.
...with Israel. When we're talking about foreign countries...
It's hardly an obsession.
You're not talking about Chinese. You're not talking about Japanese. You're not talking about the Brits. You're not talking about the French. The question, what about the Jews? What about the Jews?
Oh, I'm an anti-Semite now. Senator,
you're asking the questions, Tucker. You're asking, why are the Jews controlling our foreign policy?
Senator,
that's what you just asked.
I am hardly saying that, and I have...
That is exactly what you just said.
Well, actually, I can speak for myself and tell you what I am saying.
Good.
On behalf not simply of myself, but on my many Jewish friends who would have the same questions, which is to what extent, and it's interesting you're trying to derail my questions by calling me an anti-Semite, which you are.
I did not.
The U.S. has consistently provided support to Israel since its establishment in 1948, encompassing diplomatic, military, and economic aid. I think America really stepped up its aid in the 60s. I don't think America... Did they send Israel aid in 1948?
Of course you are. And rather than be honorable enough to say it right to my face, you are in a sleazy feline way implying it, or just asking questions about the Jews. I'm not asking questions about the Jews. There's nothing to do with Jews or Judaism. It has to do with the foreign government.
Isn't Israel controlling our foreign policy? That's not about the Jews.
You said, I'm asking you.
And by the way, you're the one that just called me, I think, a sleazy feline. So let's be clear.
It's sleazy to imply that I'm an anti-Semite, which you just did.
That's the only question you're asking. You answer it. Give me another reason. If you're not an anti-Semite, give me another reason why the obsession is Israel.
Do you understand, guys? Now is the time that we pounce. You understand this? This is why we pounce right now. This is why we build coalitions right now. This is a fragile coalition. MAGA is a fragile coalition. There are fault lines. This is a really contentious topic with the potential to cause serious divisions within the movement. And I think Trump maybe understands that. Well, it'll be interesting to see if we see him back off in the next couple weeks. Because I think if he does, it'll be a direct response to the reactions that we're seeing. You know, Marjorie Taylor Greene is kind of breaking with Trump on Iran.
I am in no sense obsessed with Israel. We are on the brink of war with Iran. And so these are valid questions.
But you're not asking about Iran or the
If I can
Ayatollah.
finish, you asked me why I'm obsessed with Israel.
Yep.
3 minutes after telling me that when you first ran for Congress, you elucidated one of your main goals, which is to defend Israel.
Yes.
And I'm the one who's obsessed with Israel. I don't see a lawmaker's job as defending the interests of a foreign government, period. Okay. Any government, including...
The U.S. began economically supporting Israel shortly after its founding in 1948, but the scale, nature, and focus of aid have changed significantly over the decades, with a sharp increase starting in the late 60s.
The ones that my ancestors come from.
I think it was after the Six-Day War. Yeah, it was. After the Six-Day War in 67, that's when America really started to spend a lot more money in Israel.
That's my position. That does not make me an anti-Semite. And shame on you for suggesting otherwise. And I mean that. And that's low, and you know it's low. So why don't you just answer my questions
I'll
in a
answer any
straightforward,
question you
rational
like.
way?
Oh,
You
boy.
certainly have the IQ to do it.
So, shame on you is cute, by the way, Tucker.
It is. It's not cute.
Oh, boy.
I'm offended.
I'm
obsessed with the Jews. You just told me
You
that
just called me a
ran-
sleazy feline.
It is sleazy to imply that I'm an anti-Semite for asking questions about how my government...
Oh, boy.
You asked about what about the Jews? What about Israel? What about
I
AIPAC?
never asked about the Jews. I have... This has nothing to do with the Jews, whatever that means. This has to do with a foreign government. And once again, shame on you for conflating
Nakba, please. The Nakba was not 1967. What are you talking about?
the two. They have nothing to do with each other. I'm talking about the influence
Israel
of
and
the foreign...
Jews have nothing to do with each other?
All Jews are an attack on all Jews.
Wait, I thought the Nakba was strictly 48, like the initial conflict that broke out. Do people include the 67 war when they say the Nakba?
Which I am not, nor would I ever be undertaking now. I'm not attacking anybody.
By the way, that's who Iran wants to kill, is all the Jews and all the Americans.
And I'm totally opposed to that, okay? But now, because
Except you don't want to do anything about it.
decisions need to be made.
We can talk about those decisions.
And I plan to.
Good.
But I just want to get a sense of whether you think, having described yourself as an America First person whose only criterion for judgment on foreign policy is America's national interest, to what extent you're influenced by a foreign government, which gives you a lot of money through its lobby, and you're claiming this has nothing to do with the foreign government. They're not coordinating. Yes, they're spying on us, but it doesn't bother you. And I'm sort of wondering, like, what is this? This is one of the weirdest conversations I've ever had.
I'll tell you what, and I'll answer any question you like, but let's try to...
Are you going to call me an anti-Semite again or no?
Let's try to ratchet down the temperature a little.
You're the one who went to motive. I'm asking honest questions.
I'm
just asking questions. Yes, that is what I'm doing.
Let's try to ratchet down the temperature a little bit.
Oh boy. I mean, I don't like either of these people, to be clear, but Tucker is rolling him right now.
Picture the house of your dreams. Maybe it's got an outdoor fireplace.
Who gets elected to Congress?
Go to puretalk.com/Tucker to support veterans and to switch to America's company.
I mean, I'm just saying optically, like, Tucker's just fucking dominating.
Wireless from Pure Talk.
And did you ever see an Eddie Murphy movie called The Distinguished Gentleman?
No.
It's this great movie. It's actually a fun comedy about politics. And Eddie Murphy in the movie is a con man who gets elected to Congress. And he's literally a con man who, the congressman dies, he has...
Man, he is really showing his age by referencing Distinguished Gentleman.
the same name, and so he runs and they
What's it called?
get elected. And there's a scene in the movie where Eddie Murphy is a freshman member of Congress, and he's sitting down with a sleazy lobbyist. And he's asking the lobbyist, all right, what should my positions be on, I think they were talking about power plants and electrical transmission lines. And the lobbyist's like, well, what do you believe? And Eddie Murphy, as the con man, said, I don't care. Whatever gets me the most money. I'll do whatever gets me the most money. And the lobbyist says, no. Pick a side. Doesn't matter what you pick. If you pick one side, we'll go shake down everyone who supports that side and they'll give you money. If you pick the other side, that's fine. We'll just go to the other side and shake down that. That's a little bit the way it works. And you often get leftists in the media who say, for example, if you support the Second Amendment, as you do and I do, well, you're just bought and paid for by the NRA. And that actually is backwards. I believe in the Second Amendment because I believe in the Constitution. Now, am I proud that the NRA supports me? Sure, because people who care about the Second Amendment want to support leaders who fight for it. But it gets it backward. Look, AIPAC, when I ran for the Senate, AIPAC didn't support me. I supported Israel before they supported me. I'm happy to have their support because they share my objective.
No, but you're missing it. I'm not suggesting that you're bought and paid for. I'm not saying that.
I want to go back and take
sincere.
I want to go back and take the transcript because you just said a minute ago, are you, I'm slightly paraphrasing, but are you lobbying for a foreign government because they pay you a lot of money? That's basically what you said. So you are suggesting that.
Let me just be clear about what I think. Your views seem totally sincere.
Yes.
You take money from people who agree with you.
Yeah.
I believe that. I
even take money from people who disagree with me.
I'm only trying to get to the question of to what extent is the U.S. government influenced by other governments? And it's a lot.
Of course.
It's hardly just Israel. It's hardly just Israel. I don't think Israel's the main one. There are lots of governments. China is a massive influence on this city.
And it's a huge problem.
As you know, I couldn't agree more. And there are lots of other. The UK, which is a truly sinister place, in my opinion, as a ethnic Brit, I can say. I think that's my view. Maybe you disagree.
I think they're on the wrong path. I love
Whatever,
the Brits, but their government has gone off the rails. Without even getting into that.
I'm just saying I don't think Israel's the only one. But it's the only one where you're instantly called an anti-Semite for asking questions. And it's also the only government
Technically, I'm an ethnic Brit.
that no one will ever criticize. And
people criticize Israel every minute of every day. Like the only government that people will not criticize.
I mean, British is an it's an ethnicity. It's a thing. I don't know why people are doing the question marks.
Rashida Tlaib just tweeted out calling Benjamin Netanyahu a war criminal.
Rashida Tlaib? No,
you said no one will criticize.
No, I'm talking about Republicans that I would vote for, including you. And I'm saying, what.
Like what Mike Lee posted over the weekend about this guy who murdered these Democratic politicians is so much worse than anything Rashida Tlaib has ever said. And I don't love everything Rashida Tlaib has ever said, to be clear. I'm not generally her biggest fan, but there's nothing that she's ever done that has ever risen to the level of depravity that we saw from Mike Lee's Twitter account over the weekend. It was so disgusting. My blood was boiling with those tweets.
Whatever. I don't even like talking about Israel. What I care about, I never do because it's not worth being called anti-Semites from AIPAC recipients. But now we are on the verge of joining a war. And I just want to be clear about why we're doing this.
All right. So, and let's get into Iran momentarily. But you suggested it was a strange thing that I said a minute ago that when I came into the Senate, I resolved that I was going to be the leading defender of Israel. And what you didn't ask is why. So let me tell you why.
No, you said I was obsessed with Israel. And you had just told me that your driving motive to get to the Senate was to defend Israel. I'm like, I don't think I'm the one who's obsessed with Israel.
Okay.
I don't even think about Israel.
Tucker, words matter.
Uh-huh.
And you know that. I said I resolved to be the leading defender of Israel. And you said your driving motive, the reason you're in the Senate.
You want to be the leading defender of Israel. I would think if I ran for Senate, I'd be like, there are people dying of drug ODs on the street.
My driving motive is to fight for Texas and America and to fight for jobs and to fight for the Constitution. And you played a very, very careful word game of eliding
You're the one who said it, not me.
So you still haven't asked why, but I'm going to tell you why.
Okay.
And the reason is twofold. Number one, as a Christian, growing up in Sunday school, I was taught from the Bible, those who bless Israel will be blessed, and those who curse Israel will be cursed. And from my perspective, I want to be on the blessing side of things.
Of those who bless the government of Israel.
This is okay. Hold on. Let me compose myself. This is a part of the conversation that is not talked about enough. We talk about the modern conservative movement as like a Trump-led movement, first and foremost, which it is. It's a cult of personality. But there is a religious element to this story, this part of this chapter in American history. There is a religious element that cannot be ignored. It is so important to point out and to identify how much religion plays a part in MAGA. They're so intertwined, particularly like the modern evangelical movement, but not just limited to evangelicals. But like a lot of Republican voters. Exactly, yeah. A lot of Republican voters are motivated by biblical prophecy and scripture, and that is probably the second most important part of the story, besides Donald Trump, who's like at the top of the pyramid here. But like the second most important part of the story, I think, is the role of religion in the political arena.
Israel?
Those who bless Israel is what it says. It doesn't say the government of it, says the nation of Israel. So that's in the Bible. As a Christian, I believe that.
Where is that?
I can find it to you. I don't have the scripture off the tip of my. You pull out the phone and use the.
It's in Genesis, but so you're quoting a
damn dude, Tucker,
a Bible phrase. You don't have context for it. And you don't.
Tucker's a fucking killer, bro.
I don't know where in the Bible it is, but that's like your theology. I'm confused. What does that even mean?
Wow,
Tucker.
I'm a Christian. I want to know what you're talking about.
Okay. Where does my support for Israel come from? Number one, because biblically we're commanded to support Israel. But number two,
hold on.
I'm not holding on.
Hold on. You're a senator, and now you're throwing out theology.
Oh my God, you guys!
I'm a Christian. And I am allowed to weigh in on this. We are commanded as Christians to support the government of Israel.
We are commanded to support Israel, and what
does that mean? Israel.
We're told those who bless Israel will be blessed.
But what? Hold on. Define Israel. This is important. Are you kidding? This is a majority Christian country.
Define Israel. Do you not know what Israel is? That would be the country you've asked like 49 questions about.
So that's what Genesis. That's what God is talking about.
The nation of Israel. Yes.
And so is that the current borders, the current leadership? He's talking about the political entity called Israel.
He's talking about the nation of Israel. Yet nations exist, and he's discussing it.
It's like Jordan Peterson. If you ask him, like, do you believe in God? Well, that depends. Define do. What do you mean by do? What does you? What does you mean? That's a horrible impression for the record. Believe. Oh, this is a terrible joke. I'm not good at impersonation.
A nation was the people of
What do you mean God by God?
Israel.
Is the nation
They're the
God's
descendants of
referring
Abraham.
to in Genesis, is that the same as the country run by Benjamin Netanyahu right now?
Yes.
It is. Okay.
And by the way, it's not run by Benjamin Netanyahu as a dictator. It's a democratic country that elected.
He's the prime minister.
Right.
What?
Just like, America is the country run by Donald Trump. No, actually, the American people elected Donald Trump. The same principle
This is silly. I'm talking about the political entity of modern Israel.
Yes, and that is
You believe
Israel.
that's what God was talking about in Genesis.
I do, but
that country's existed since when?
For thousands of years. Now, there was a time when it didn't exist, and then it was recreated just over 70 years ago.
I'm saying, I think most people understand that line in Genesis to refer to the Jewish people, God's chosen people.
That's not what it says.
Okay, Israel, but you don't even know where in the Bible it is. So I don't know if we can.
I don't remember the scriptural citation, but okay,
It's like Genesis 16 or something like that. But yes, it's in the earlier part of the book. But the point is,
okay, hold on. Now we gotta fact check that. Now Sarai, Abram's wife, bare him no children, and she had a handmaiden, an Egyptian. Blah 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 blah. I don't think it was. Oh wait, no, I don't think it was Genesis 16.
All right, Tucker, you keep interrupting me before I finish my sentence.
It's just important to know what you're talking about. I don't.
Hey everyone,
know
it is
what
I, Jordan Burnt Peterson, and I'm here to tell you the future is the place of all potential monsters.
So you're saying, as a Christian, if I believe in Jesus, I have to support the modern state of Israel?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm explaining for me what my motivation is.
But okay, so I'm just trying to understand. You said God tells you to support the modern state of Israel in the Bible, in some place in the Bible that you heard.
I don't know about you guys. To me, it's crazy to have legislators taking policy positions based on prophecy in the scriptures. Like, it's nuts, right? Like,
heard about, but you don't know where it is. That's your theology?
You're going back. Am I a sleazy feline again? I mean,
if you accuse me of
I don't practice religion, but I have no problem with lawmakers practicing religion. But if you're signing onto bills or adopting certain policy positions because of scripture and because of a prophecy, then my head starts to hurt a little bit.
Anti-Semitism again, I will say that, but I don't think you will.
Try to be a little less condescending. I'm trying to have a conversation.
Condescending. You're throwing this stuff out, and it's my job to figure out what you're talking about. Okay, but I don't understand.
I mean, Tucker's for sure being a condescending prick here, but it's kind of satisfying to watch in a way.
You're not letting me.
Okay. I'm sorry. I want to be polite.
That
Ted Cruz is a lightweight. I think that's what a conversation like this illustrates. Like Ted Cruz is just not very bright. I think it's that simple. He's just not very bright. Like, say what you will about Tucker, but I mean, if I were told, okay, you're going to debate Tucker Carlson, I would do a lot of prep, is what I'm saying. I would be like, okay, this is going to be a doozy. I would do a lot of prep because Tucker is like sharp rhetorically.
That is for me a personal motivation, but I also, what I was about to say, I don't believe my personal faith, not everyone.
Why are predominantly Christian countries so defensive of Israel? It's literally prophecy in the scripture. We're talking about the rapture. We're talking about the second coming of Christ. It fulfills a biblical prophecy about returning God's chosen people to their ancestral homeland. Like, you have no idea. Like that. First of all, the country used to be way more religious back in the day. Way more religious. The decline in religion in the 21st century is a steep decline. It's pretty remarkable how fast things are changing in that regard. But the Bible lays out the conditions for which Jesus will come back and like take his chosen people take the righteous people up to heaven with him, and everybody else is going to live on earth in like eternal life, and it's going to be and other people go to hell. It's going to be crazy.